Hello and welcome back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson. Today we'll be recapping the first race of the Truck Series playoff, which happened a couple weeks ago at IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park, and then the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series on the Indy Road Course. And yes, they are both in Indianapolis. It's about a 10-minute drive between the two events, but they are very different tracks. IRP is just a very tiny oval, and the ARC Menard Series was here with the Truck Series. About 20 seconds to get around the track, unlike the Indy, where the Indianapolis 500 and the Indy Road Course are, which is of course the road course takes longer, but even way it's a very long. I remember when they used to do the ovals there with the Xfinity and the Cup, but now they've moved on to doing the road course, which I'd say is equally exciting. But on Friday night, though, the Truck Series started off the weekend at IRP. 200 laps made up the event. First caution was early on. Josh Rayum, the owner-driver, spun around with some contact from 12 of Spencer Boyd. They both hit the outside wall pretty hard, and Boyd had a little fire come out the truck, so he had to stop on track and then get out of the truck. Josh Rayum continued on for a little while longer, but he brought out the second caution when he spun around. The third caution, the Stage 1 winner, John Hunter Nemechek. The fourth caution was for the 43 of Blake Loithen. The other Rayum Brothers racing truck had a drivetrain let go and stopped on track. The fifth caution was for the stage winner, but this time he was going around. It was the 4 of John Hunter Nemechek who spun around. The sixth caution, Dean Thompson went around in the Nice Motorsports truck, and that took me into stage 2, which went to Ty Majeski. The seventh caution was for debris on track. The eighth caution was when Wallace Allen had a little bit of contact on the back straightaway and spun down and made some pretty heavy contact with the inside. It's a concrete wall on the back straightaway, and that did end his day. The ninth caution was on the 91 of Colby Howard, the McNally truck, one of the two actually, teammates with Derek Kraus. Had some help from behind. It was the playoff contender, Carson Hocevar, and Colby Howard, let's just say, was not very happy with Hocevar. It kind of looked like he just dumped him going into 1 and 2, and, there's probably a different mindset there. Howard not racing for playoff points or anything like that, and Hocevar is trying to get into the next round. So that did end Howard's day after nosing it into the outside wall. And then the 10th caution was brought out with a similar situation, which sent this race into NASCAR overtime. It was a 17 of Taylor Gray battling it out with the lead, actually, between he and John Hunter Nemechek and the 4 truck, and he kind of just got the boot from behind by the 4 of John Hunter Nemechek, drove it into the turns 3 and 4 very hard, and didn't look like he had a chance to make the turn at all, and he just slid up into Gray, which sent him around and made a little contact with the outside wall. And, of course, Gray probably wasn't happy with Nemechek there either because kind of just got dumped. And, again, Nemechek going for playoff points here, and a win would get him into the next round. So you can see some different mindsets there. But during NASCAR overtime, it was very chaotic, and Nemechek got shuffled back. And guess who shuffled to the front? It was Grant Enfinger in the 23 truck, and he was able to pick up the win and put himself into the round of 8. So Enfinger is automatically transferring with the win. Top 10 here were Grant Enfinger, Ben Rhodes, Zane Smith, Stuart Friesen, Corey Heim, Tyler Ankrum, Lane Riggs making his Truck Series debut in the 62 truck, had a good 7th place finish. And then Ty Majeski, Matt Crafton, and John Hunter Nemechek all the way back in 10th, rounded out the top 10. DNF's this race, Colby Howard out for the accident. Josh Rayum was deemed too slow by NASCAR, possibly from that damage he got also earlier. Wallace Allen out for the accident. Blake Loithen had a drive shaft issue, so something with the drive shaft and drive train there as well. And then Spencer Boyd out early on with that accident. The next day, it was the Xfinity Series running 62 laps at the Indy Road Course, and a little bit of news that we got before this race happened. The 68 of Brandon Brown, who was just outside the playoff cut line and had a legitimate shot at making it in. Of course, if he won at Daytona or somewhere like that, he would automatically get in. Unfortunately, lost sponsorship and can no longer compete full-time in the Xfinity Series. He said he'll probably try to run the super speedway events like Daytona and Talladega and maybe a couple others. I saw he did race at Michigan as well in the Xfinity Series, but other than that, this has taken him out of contention. And for the Indy Road Course, he actually did a one-off start with Mike Harmon Racing, and he did qualify for the race because of the past winners points when he won last year at Talladega. Unfortunate to see Brandon Brown out like this, or not early in the season, but before the playoffs began. And again, he had a pretty good shot at making the playoffs, so unfortunate to see that. The first caution in the 62-lap event, actually the first incident, a full course yellow. Parker Kligerman in the 35 truck, or 35 car for Emmeline Gase, had some problems all weekend, really didn't get out in practice or qualifying, and looked like the brakes just failed going into the steep left-hand corner, and he collected the 44 Ryan Ellis, taking them both into the gravel trap. And I'll point out to you where this corner was as you look at the Indy road course description. It was down here after here's the pit straightaway. That's where all the trouble happened last year through 5 and 6 with the curbing, but this incident occurred in the sharp hander down here at turn number 7. When they got back going, the second caution was the stage 1 winner, Noah Gragson. And then no caution brought out on the restart. Both Monster Energy cars had some contact. First off, it was in turn number 1, which they all fan out 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 wide at some points to get funneled down, and just 2 wide there through 1 and 2. Ty Gibbs in the 54 I mentioned did go around, and later on in that same lap, around turn 7 and 8, Riley Herbst in the 98 went around after some contact. They both had the same sponsor, Monster Energy, so both monster cars went around. And then there was no caution. Anthony Alfredo in the 23 went around. The third caution was for debris on the track. The fourth caution, the stage 2 winner of Josh Berry. No caution when the 88, Miguel Paludo usually runs the road courses for Junior Motorsports, went around. And lastly, there was no caution when Sheldon Creed went around in the 2 car after a little bit of contact from Ross Chastain, who's known for making a little bit of contact in the Cup Series, doing some in the Xfinity Series, running in the 92 for Mario Gosselin this weekend. And they were pretty clean to the checkered flag after that. And the winner, surprisingly, not very surprised, the road course ringer, A.J. Allmendinger, gets it done once again at the road course. And he's already won at Portland and COTA earlier this year. And I believe that's all 3 road courses that the Xfinity have been on. So he might just be 3 for 3 on the road course. And he was very emotional about this, getting to kiss the bricks. And it's a tradition, of course, at Indy. If you win the race, you get to kiss the bricks. So, top 10 here. A.J. Allmendinger, Alex Bowman, who was running the 17 for Hendrick Motorsports, the Cup driver. Then Justin Allgaier, Ross Chastain, that actually tied Mario Gosselin's car's best finish in 4th. Then Chase Briscoe in the 07, followed by Riley Herbst, Sam Mayer, Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill, and Noah Gragson ran out top 10. Brandon Brown, I mentioned, was driving for Mike Harmon. Almost made it the entire race without an issue, unfortunately. I think it was just 1 or 2 laps remaining. Had suspension problems and pulled off the track. Bubba Wallace, who was trying to gain some experience with the Cup race, had engine problems in the number 18 car. And then Ryan Ellis and Parker Kligerman out for that accident. The next day, it was the Cup Series, running 82 laps at the Indy road course. And this race did not disappoint. Very exciting, very intense racing throughout. No caution pretty early on. Justin Haley in the 31 went around, and by earlier, I mean on the first lap in turn number 1. First couple laps were very exciting because also on the first lap, Ross Chastain in the 1 car went around, and then his rival, Denny Hamlin, you could say, went around exiting turns 5 and 6. Looked like he just got off into the grass. Had it saved, but then I guess overcorrected and spun down the backstretch. No caution after that. Brad Keselowski spun into the grass. Then no caution. Ross Chastain went around again with the road course ringer Joey Hand in the turn 1 grass. Then Chase Elliott spun around in his 9 car, but no caution. For his full course caution went to the stage 1 winner, Chase Briscoe, who does seem to do pretty well into that Stewart-Haas number 14 on the road courses. Then no caution for his teammate, Kevin Harvick, who spun around and who's still looking for a win to get in. And at this point, he was out of the playoff picture with just 2 spots remaining on points, which were claimed by Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney entering this race. And then no caution, another Stewart-Haas car went around. This time it was Cole Custer with the 21 of Harrison Burton. No call, and the second full course caution was the Christopher Bell car winning the second stage. And that's actually, I heard, this was his first ever stage win, which did surprise me. And then no caution, Brad Keselowski went around again in the 6 car. No caution, Keselowski got back going, but then spun around once again. No caution for, how about this, Denny Kvyat, the former F1 driver for Toro Rosso in the 26, and he drove the 26 in F1. I guess that's why he drove it here. He was running for Hesburgh Motorsports with he and Loris Hesselmans in the 27 car as teammates this weekend. Unfortunately, went around and I think broke a drivetrain, and had to pull off the track. The third full course caution was a very vicious crash. Happened going into the high-speed turn number 1. It happened, Kyle Larson in the 5 car. I'm still trying to find out what happened to him. They said there was no mechanical issue. It was just a driver error on his part. I guess he missed his brake point and went flying into turn number 1, completely missed the corner, and slid right into the side door. Fortunately, it was the passenger side door of the 42 of Ty Dillon, leaving major damage on both cars. Fortunately, though, both drivers were okay. And no mechanical failures. It kind of looked like a brake failure because he was flying, like I said, in turn 1, I believe around 150 miles per hour. But it was said to be just a driver error, which you don't see many of those out of Kyle Larson. When they got back going, contact between Kevin Harvick and Alex Bowman in turn number 7 went them, saw them going both around and having some pretty big damage after that. And the fourth caution, which sent this race into NASCAR overtime, Christopher Bell in the 20 car had some debris put down on the track. And then there was an incident involving Bubba Wallace on this restart, and they had to go into double overtime. There were multiple crashes on the final couple laps here. In first overtime, in turn number 1, no caution. Bubba Wallace went through the grass after Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe went around. Also, the leader, or on the outside pole, the lead, Chase Elliott in the 9, went around with his teammate, the 24 of William Byron. But the full course caution happened when the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. blew a tire, slid into the side of the 3 of Austin Dillon, and Eric Jones also got caught up in this, and Dillon got caught in the kitty litter, as it's called, the gravel trap, and was unable to get back going. So this brought out the 5th full course caution. And they had to go into the double overtime, which is very exciting. Had to go onto the second page. There was an incident in turn number 1 again. This time no caution though. Ryan Blaney in the 12 car had some pretty major contact with the 99 of Daniel Suarez, sending Blaney around. And it's checker flag in this race though, as it was a very chaotic couple last laps, I guess, through all overtimes. Ross Chastain took the access road to avoid all the mayhem and carnage in turn number 1, but he came out side by side with the leader, Tyler Reddick, and NASCAR would later penalize he and Austin Dillon, who did that same thing. And it's kind of an interesting call there, and whether or not it was planned that they went through the access road because they knew the mayhem in turn number 1, but he went through it properly, just came to a little bit of a stop and made the little right-hander to get back onto the track, but he was penalized, but Reddick was able to pass him on the track anyway, so he was not leading at the checkered flag. It was Tyler Reddick who got his 2nd career win, and he's doing pretty well on the road courses. Got his first career win early at Road America and his 2nd at the Indy road course. Top 10 here were Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric, Harrison Burton, Todd Gillen. How about those rookies in the top 5? And then Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, A.J. Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, Cole Custer, and Chris Buescher ran out top 10. And Chris Buescher's car was actually on fire at one point, but he refused to get out of the car, had the team put it out on pit road, and still managed to scrape a top 10 finish. That was pretty good by Chris Buescher. DNFs in this race, William Byron was out for the accident, Alex Bowman was out for the damaged vehicle policy, Kevin Harvick was out for the accident, along with Ty Dillon and Kyle Larson. The 2 Hesselberg cars did not have a good day. Danny Kvyat had suspension issues, his teammate Loris Hesselman's out of the race with a drivetrain issue, and Eric Almirola had some contact earlier on with Kyle Larson, which led him out of the race with the accident. And actually, going back to a little earlier, the Xfinity race, Jeb Burton actually did not start the race because of a track bar issue. Well, that's all for race recap. Come join us in just a day or two when we'll have the next recap, which was last weekend, the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series racing at Michigan.